everybody. Welcome, welcome. Look at these beautiful faces. Brenda, Duncan, Therese, Jenny, JJ, Rachel, Macklin, Cameron. Good to see all of you. Hi. Hello, hello. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's still some few other people who are planning to join us. Brenda, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. So if any time at all you want to talk, you just jump on in, okay?
I sure will.
I know. All right, so welcome. Today we have a very great panel happening, and I do want to say that unfortunately, due to an emergency, our beautiful author Robin is not able to be here, but we're going to bring her back later whenever she can come. So, but we do have Jenny. Hi, Jenny. And Brenda's promised to jump on in with some of her own thoughts. And I will as well. And so to start us off, we're talking about new possibilities for the new year. And I wanted to share one of the quotes from, oh, hi, Karen. Welcome. Glad you're here. I wanted to share one of the quotes that, Jenny, I love your book, by
Oh,
the way.
thank
And I think
you.
either Cameron or Macklin's going to be posting those links. Maybe you already did because you guys are so good. Um, Jenny's block is Jenny's book is called Badass Manifesting. And what I love, Jenny, is that it's filled with like not only your stories and your wisdom and so much of your own experience, but we get to hear a lot from your dad, which I love. And you add a lot of quotes from a lot of people, which is fantastic. And each chapter has a beautiful mantra that we start with. There's so many beautiful things. I'm going to encourage everyone, if you haven't read it, to click on that link after we're done and make sure you get it. But I wanted to share just one of the many quotes that jumped out at me when I was reading it. Manifesting isn't about wishful thinking. It's about boldly stepping into your confidence, clarifying what you truly want, and living with intention and purpose. And that is one of Jenny's own quotes. And I found that to be so powerful, Jenny. I love that. And so, launching right in, why don't we have you, Jenny, introduce yourself? And when you're doing that, I was hoping you might also share with us, because I know there's a lot about your book that shows a different angle on manifesting than many of us, I think, are usually thinking. So, if you
Mhm.
would also be willing to share with us, like, what makes your book different?
Sure. Um, so this is my fifth book, actually, which seems crazy now. Thank you. And I also spend a lot of my time covering weddings and style for the New York Times. That's my main gig these days. And I actually recently started doing some new work for a gallery that's opening in France called La Seine. That's going to be writing about these incredible artists' stories to try to do kind of exactly what we're talking about here to help both the artists and the people who are coming to see their work really see an authenticity and a presence of people that I feel like we often miss. So um, I think that's what's special about my book. And if I can, I want to say thank you to Brenda for that because I wouldn't have had this idea. She's the one who really helped to, I don't know, to sprout that this was a thing and that this was a thing that needed another conversation about it. Because that was sort of my first question to myself, which I used to ask my students when they would choose a topic, why you, why now? Like what the heck? Like why are you doing this? My writing mentor would always say, don't write a book unless you have to. Too hard. So unless it's burning your brain, it's too hard. And all of a sudden my brain started burning and I realized that what was burning from me was the fact that people misunderstand manifesting. I think it got a bad name during The Secret. And The Secret came out, and everyone got really excited, and people were making these amazing vision boards, and people were getting all jazzed up, and they were meeting with their friends, and they were making these great boards and making all these wishes. And then it stopped right there. Nothing happened after that. And it reminded me of a class. This is terrible, JJ. This reminds me of what you said. I can't remember if I shared this story in the book because so many things, there's only so many things you have words for. But my dad used to teach this class where he would go in the first day of class and say, if there's a God, bring me a red bicycle. And of course, nothing would happen. And he'd wait and he'd do it again. If there's a God, bring me a red bicycle. And he'd go, "Oh, all right." And he'd start to pack up his stuff and he'd put it in his briefcase and he'd head to the door. And all the students would be like, holy smokes, Rabbi, what's going on? And he was talking about the power of prayer and belief. And what he was talking about was manifesting. He was talking about if he really wanted a bicycle, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely on your side. The universe is always rooting for us. The universe always wants what's best for us. And the universe demands our participation. I am not going to get that red bike sitting here. And it reminded me of all the gym memberships I've purchased and never went, and all the greens to mix in my water that is still in my pantry. You can't just buy it and put it away. You have to put it in the water and drink it. You have to show up at the gym and lift the weights. Every single thing that matters, you have to be in the room where it happens. You have to do the thing. And I think I'm like most people. I don't want to do the things. I don't. Like, I wish I could just say a la peanut butter sandwiches and everything would happen. And I know that doesn't work. So when I started investigating what manifesting really meant, what these practices were, some of them were very scary and daunting to me. Some of them were way too magical and woo-woo for me. Some of them just seemed out of my reach. Some of them seemed like there had to be something outside of me, and the only thing I have control over is me. And then I sort of feel like my brain put it all through a sieve. And what I was left with was, what do you want? Write it down, say it out loud, tell someone around you for accountability, and then do one thing today to get you closer. That's it. We can end this podcast. I mean, that's it. That's all she wrote. And then it's just a matter of how do we put that into our daily practice. And I think that's what's different about this book.
Oh, Jenny, that was so great. And I love how you summed all that up to make it super easy for us, right? Now we can all relax because we know what the answer is. And we
Right?
just get to listen and share and, learn more. That
Right.
was fantastic. I love that. And we're going to obviously come back and go deeper, but I always like to ask Ms. Brenda, hello, Brenda, happens to be
Hi.
she and Duncan are the co-publishers of Books That Save Lives, and we're glad to have both of you. Brenda, we always like to hear your side of the story. How did we get Jenny in this wonderful book?
Well, Jenny and I have been together like for 3 jobs now. So, like, she's one of the authors that, like, I guess I can't live without. But I'm
Can't
never going
shake
to have
me.
another job. Books That Save Lives it's not even a job. It's a calling. It's a passion. It's a service. So I'm always going to want, like, all of the authors I see here today involved. But I think that Jenny is a magical being. Like, she's so sparkly and like like literally like glittery and sparkly and just brings joy to me. And I feel like joy and abundance like go together very nicely. So she's an abundant being and wicked smart. And a really good writer, and just amazing in all ways. And so we love, I think we've had like something like a 4 year brainstorm on like books and future books and things like that. And like there were many ideas. But then the one that just kept surfacing for me was that like I was witnessing her manifesting like a beautiful life. I mean, the fact that like she like something that I is gobsmackingly amazing to me is like Jenny writing for Vals for the New York Times. I mean, all you have to do is watch a rerun of Sex in the City, which I think we all do, whether we want to admit it or not. And you see like how important that's like iconic, the vows section, the wedding section, and like their entire like Sex and the City episodes that like revolved around that. And like she manifested that. Like she's manifested many things, including like a beautiful life and one that like and like her own path, her own brave like path. And so I like said, I think that you should write Badass Manifesting. And I think it was a surprise, maybe, like, but then I think she realized, oh yeah, actually I do that, and this is perfect, and I like it. And so it's been like and been I think the one of the two best-selling books so far for Books to Save Lives. So congratulations, well done. Way to manifest.
Ah,
Um,
oh,
I think that Brenda just proved the other leg of all this, which is putting yourself with the kind of people that you belong with, like staying with your crowd, being with your herd, and being with the people who listen to you and who say no to you when they should say no to you. The one thing Brenda's never allowed me to do is write a book that doesn't need to be written. And I know I've come to her with those. And that there's not
wow.
everyone will do that for you. And telling me the truth about what I'm capable of doing, even when I think when she first said the word manifesting, I was thinking, I don't know that I've ever used that word. And then I thought, well, you might not have used that vocabulary, but you're doing the thing. So let's call it the thing if that's what it is. So I think, I mean, Be That Unicorn, which came before this, was all about sort of aligning yourself with the universe,
Yeah.
and with your herd, and having someone who's been Brenda, we should probably look at our emails. Like, I don't even know how long we've been friends and colleagues and editor writer, but it's been a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
things fall away, and usually things fall away that are supposed to. Um, and then you're left with sort of the core, and that core is what allows you that core in terms of beliefs, in terms of humans, in terms of stuff, in terms of location. All of that core is what makes you able to do what I'm going to say supposed to do, but I mean supposed to do in terms of what your soul meant, has meant for you, or mean wants for you.
Jenny, that was beautiful. Yeah. And I think my soul's very happy that Brenda's following her soul right now too, because it benefits all of us. I see, all these faces in the room thanks to Brenda's own manifestation. So, Jenny, I want to go back just a tiny bit, just in case anybody who's here now or anybody listening might be like, wait a minute, what? What is manifestation? Can she called it the thing. What is it?
So I think honestly, if we had to sort of like, if I had like 10 floors or whatever in the elevator, manifesting is making truth of the things that you want. Making reality out of wishes, basically. And to manifest those things is to make them a reality for yourself. So you can be in the process of manifesting and still not manifest. And I think for me, it's usually because it's not meant for you. For example, I said for many, many years that I wanted to be an actress. I did some TV commercials, been on stage a lot, toured, did the whole shenanigans. And I kept whining to my father about how I was never going to make it because I didn't live in New York. And he said, so move to New York. And I said, I can't afford it. He said, well, I don't have any money either, but I will find the money and we will move you to New York. And I said, oh, I can't do that. I don't know anybody there. And he said, well, we have lots of congregants who have family there. That's no problem. Well, I don't know how to break into acting. Well, so and so's uncle's son's daughter. And by the time we were done, my dad said, are you done arguing with me? Do you want who wants to move to New York? Because it sure as heck doesn't sound like it's you.
I love your dad, Jenny. I love your
It's the
dad.
worst. You know what? We should have had him on here today. We should probably call him.
Oh, oh my gosh, that would have been
Okay, when someone else is talking, I'll text him real quick.
get
I
him on
that didn't
here
dawn on me.
because I just had a call back to when I was lucky enough to have you on one of these panels, I think years ago, and you were talking about the ticket to the amusement park. Wasn't that from your
That's
dad?
him. That's my
Can you just
dad.
tell us? I know maybe it has
Yeah.
something to do with manifesting, maybe
Yeah.
not, but
Yeah,
it's great.
sure. My dad always says that life is a one-time ticket to the amusement park, and you get the one ticket and the gate opens, and when it closes that night, that's it. and you can either get on the roller coaster or not. You can either spend the $532 to win the 2 cent bear or not. You can eat the $1 zillion hot dog that's going to give you a bellyache or not. You can, it's all completely up to you. And there's no kvetching afterwards because it was your choice. So you don't have to go on the rides. In fact, if you enjoy watching other people go on the rides, that's awesome. But I don't want to hear later about how you should have gone on. And that was how my dad raised me. Like that was my
Wow.
whole I, my parents used to drag us to museums constantly. Art museums, sign me up. History museum, I would rather have be thrown over a cliff naked in the middle of winter. I just don't want to see another tank. I don't care about the hill. I know I probably should, but I was 7, I wasn't interested. And I would just be this little grump just stomping my feet and making it awful for everyone. And my dad would say, "Look, you're not going to ruin this for the rest of us. We are tuning you out behind us doing your malarkey. And this is what we're doing today. And you can either enjoy it or be a pain in the ass all day. That's
Wow.
your decision. But this is what's occurring today. Who do you want to be right now?" He's the worst. I mean, he is the worst
The best. He's the best.
because everything is in your hands,
Yeah.
whatever's so terrible. And he'll be the first one to tell you, through the process of manifesting things are not going to go well. And you're allowed to stomp and scream and be irritated for a minute. My dad always says, as long as the anger serves you, have at it, and then tell it to hit the road. Because it's not hurting anybody else. It's not hurting the guy you're mad about taking your parking space. It's only making you mad. It's only standing in the way of what you're trying to create, of what possibilities would have been open to you if you'd kept your eyes open, Jenny Block, instead of bitching and moaning about the History Museum.
Okay, Jenny, I'm going to ramble for a moment and bring Brenda into my ramble so you can text your dad.
I'm
I would
texting my
love to
dad
take
right
him.
now.
I have
I'm
never
doing it.
forgotten that amusement park metaphor that he gave us.
Yeah,
So,
it's great.
so the way that I see that, and then Brenda, stay tuned because I'm going to ask you a question. Like I see that is, if I want to ride the Ferris wheel and I'm like, my little heart is like, oh, I really want to ride the Ferris wheel, then I have to put into place what Jenny has already told us, right? I can't just stand next to the carousel and say, I wish I were riding the Ferris wheel. I hope I can ride the Ferris wheel. Life, put me on the Ferris wheel, right? I have to get myself over to the Ferris wheel. I have to somehow get a ticket, no matter how that comes about, but then I have to step onto it. And so that's what I'm seeing. Brenda, I'd just love to know whatever you want to share about Jenny and manifesting and how it's impacted you.
Yeah, well, I think maybe one of the reasons I was so interested in, an author writing about manifesting and abundance is because I've been doing this practice, which I know, like I've mentioned before in Heart Wisdoms, but I set morning intentions. I set the tone for my day with intentions, and actually, weirdly enough, last year was so tumultuous, with like the knee surgery, then getting laid off on the day Trump was put in office, like January 20th, and then realizing that like I wasn't done with publishing, and then coming to Duncan and saying like I'm not done, and then his amazing answer, I've been waiting, and then all the whirling and twirling that has led to Books That Save Lives and the company, which has been very good whirling and twirling, but there's been a lot of it. So I forgot to, like, all of that led to me forgetting to set my intentions. Like I had done it every single day for years, but things got, I mean, maybe the OxyContin like got in the way after to the knee surgery. It could literally be that, because like I was very like, like not my normal self, like just sort of observing life from a distance. So, but then I realized, like, not on like a New Year's resolution or anything like that, but a few years into the new year, I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot to be doing my morning intentions. So I've gotten back into it very rigorously. And sometimes it's for me personally, sometimes it's for, you know, people living in Minnesota, one of whom is with us tonight. And sometimes it's for Ukrainians, sometimes it's for authors, sometimes it's for books that save lives, but it's always like, for the good of all, which has to be the core for
Yeah.
me. And that's my understanding all along, is that like all manifesting, and all, intention setting and everything needs to be not just good for you and your people, but for the good of all. And so I will say that, like, the very first day I started setting my intention, I got like almost an instantaneous response. And I was so floored by it that, like, I told my husband, Paul, I was like, that intention stuff I always did. And then I forgot, and then I started again. Like, well, it's really working. So anyway, though, I just feel like, it's literally like, it could be 1 minute in the morning, but for me, it's about five. So in 5 good minutes a day, 5 good morning minutes, you can just set the tone for your
Wow.
day, and just make it better and make it like sort of lighter. That's one thing that I feel like this world has gotten very heavy, very heavy. So the more light we can bring to the world, to others, to ourselves, our own lives, let's bring the light.
Oh, Brenda, I love that. And you didn't even know it, but you inadvertently led me to the next thing I naturally wanted to ask Jenny, which is so perfect because what I heard you just say is manifesting, no matter how much we hope for it and even how much action we take, is not going to work if it's not for the good of all. Like, I think I'm going to check in with Jenny on that, but I believe that. And Jenny, I want to know, like, are there other reasons it doesn't work?
No, I mean, it doesn't work if you don't do it, and it doesn't work if it's not meant for you, and it doesn't work if you're a bad guy because that's not how the universe works. I mean, you can hope for things that people might otherwise not think were very, let's just say if you wanted certain things to end and other people
Yes.
didn't want them to, if them ending helped the majority of people, then that would still be a reasonable thing to manifest. Now, that being said, I think sometimes the wrong people harness the power of manifesting. And
Huh.
why that still happens, I don't know. There's an old famous book called Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. Um, that happens sometimes. So that just means we have to double down on our manifesting powers for the right things to happen. I mean, when all this, and Brenda, I love the verb you use when he was put into office, because he certainly wasn't elected. When he was put into office, I went right to everything's over. See, nothing works. Everything's terrible.
Wow.
We're doomed. From that to why did we need to get this low to get where we need to be? What's happening in the bigger
Yeah.
picture that we need to know about? I mean, I didn't know how ugly things were. It was very easy for me to ignore them when things were fine. I mean, I couldn't have been happier when Obama was in office, and I probably had my eyes closed a lot because everything was hunky dory. And there was still, of course, people suffering. So I'd like to think that manifesting, it's dangerous
Yeah.
because I mean, I think it falls under be careful what you ask for because you
Right.
just might get it. So it's funny, there's a story in the book that my friend Kay talks about how I think she I think this ended up making in where she was in really terrible financial straits and she was trying to manifest money and a favorite wealthy aunt passed away.
Oh,
And does she really believe she didn't kill her aunt? Like that's not, but
right.
did it swirl in the universe? Did the universe weigh good and bad and say, well, she's 90, it's time. So what's 6 months early? I don't know. I don't know how any of that
I don't
works.
know.
I do know that where I put my energy, when things come from that, I want to feel good about where I put my energy. So, I mean, I will admit, like, there was a time where I was there wasn't a slot for me to perform and somebody else was performing. And I was like, oh, I just wish one time somebody would drop out so I'd get a chance. Her mother fell down the stairs.
Oh,
Now, thank God she was fine, but the performer did have to leave and I got to perform. And I'll tell you, I didn't feel that great about it because I don't want to get what I want that way. Now, did I make her mother fall down the stairs? I'm not the queen of the universe. If I was, there'd be a lot of other things I'd do before that. But yeah, I mean, it's very powerful. It needs to be well intentioned. And I'd like to think in the big picture that it is the things that are supposed to happen. And even when we can't understand them, I mean, it's not an explanation for everything. It just isn't. Bad things are going to happen. We're human. Science exists. All the laws of physics and biology exist. Like I always tell people that I have to put that over here because that's all true. And like I can't cure
yeah.
everybody, I can't save everybody, I can't change the politics overnight. And here are the things I can do. So this isn't about, a regime change overnight. This is about how can I change what's right here.
Jenny, I love this. I think, you've just said so much. I've been reading this author. I don't know if any of you know. Her name is Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote, oh yeah, Doug is nodding his head. She wrote about the same time as Napoleon Hill, I think. And what I love is she does a lot of around manifesting, and she always adds, something like, for the divine good of all, or if this is in my divine good and the good of all. Like she always adds that. And I've been even before, I read your book, I was reading her, and I love that because I too have manifested things that later I was kind of like, oh, I hope that I hope that bad thing that came along with this wasn't because I was so willful, you know. I'm
Although
curious.
that's a good reminder too. It's all a good reminder to my mind. When it works, it's a good reminder. When it doesn't work, it's a
Yeah.
good reminder. It just allows us. This is all about being authentic and present. That's all. It's asking for the things that we really should have, and we know the difference between we know
Or
what's
sometimes we don't know, right? But the universe knows better, right?
fair.
I
Fair.
think, hey, you know who's in our waiting room?
Tell me it's Rabbi Block.
It's Rabbi Block. Let's let him in.
Yes, let's let him
Let's
in.
give him a let's give him a hand as he's coming in.
Yay.
Yay! Rabbi Block. You don't know it, but we already love you. What did you tell him? Does he know why he's here?
No, I just said I'm on a podcast with my publishing team and they love you and they want you to log in. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner.
I'm going to go ahead and unmute him and just put him on the
Okay,
spot. I hope that's okay. He seems like the kind of guy.
he is.
Rabbi Block, I just asked you to unmute. Do you see a button? Oh, there you are. I want to say something to you because you don't know me, but I talked to Jenny years ago and she told me the story about the amusement park ticket. And I think of you and Jenny all the time when I think of that. So I want to thank you. And then also thank you for everything you taught this person. She has been sharing so much wisdom with us.
Well, I'm glad somebody listened to me. So that's a good thing.
Daddy, I was telling them about the metaphor about how you used to say that life is one amusement park ticket and you can use it as you choose, but when it closes and there's no kvetching at the exit.
Okay.
So we were talking about possibilities and the power of manifesting and why it works sometimes and why it doesn't. And maybe you can talk about sort of what that word means to you or what you thought about when you thought I was exploring it or any of that.
Part of the problem is people think of magic or sleight of hand, and we all want to believe that if I say the magic words or I hold up my magic wand, this is going to happen. And if I buy a book about manifesting, all I have to do is think about it and it will magically appear. And unfortunately, that's not the case. It's our mindset that determines the events that's going to happen. So the idea of manifesting is in my mind, I'm going to do what I need to do to make it into reality, as opposed to, um, well, any of you Lord of the Rings fans?
Yes.
Well, my wedding band is the ring. It has the inscription around the edge. You can't really see because it's so tiny, but it's the ring. And
One ring
so,
to rule them all.
yes, this is the ring that rules them all. It's my wedding band.
Wow.
And when I put it on, I become invisible. Oh, it didn't work. And so people confuse manifesting with the ring, as opposed to a way for me to focus all my thoughts, all my energy on that, on being there. And it's very much what they teach in sports medicine, if you will. The idea of picturing yourself hitting a single, hitting a double, hitting to the space in the outfield. And the same thing in basketball. All sports have different ways of, they say visualizing, but you're really manifesting.
Wow.
You are telling your body, and this is what's going to happen. And it's the same thing with our lives. I want to become, or I want to be whatever, and I I wish for it. And if you truly manifest, the odds increase. No guarantee. Listen, I want to be an astronaut. I'm 80 years old. What are my odds of becoming an astronaut?
Not good, Daddy.
Zero to none. Not going to happen. So that would be a ridiculous test or thing to do.
Yes.
Because the requirements, but there are many things like being an international successful author.
Woo!
Some of us in the family are international successful authors. Not everyone,
Daddy.
but some are.
I want you to know I was going to mention your book, but your book is a really good example of manifesting something. My dad has a very successful podcast and TikTok, and he, wants me to write his book, which I keep telling him he has to write his own book. And then we realized he basically had already written his book. It was a podcast. And so what would happen if all of that wisdom was, synthesized down into a book?
Well, yeah,
What
well,
would that look like?
the podcast and the YouTube are called The Rabbi and I. The I is Joe Sutliff. He's the cartoonist for the book. So Joe and I started this series, How to Be Jewish in 30 Seconds. And Jenny and Joe kept hacking me a chinik that I should write a book. And both of them said to me, "You've already written it."
But
And
it didn't look like a book to him until it looked like a book to him. And I think that's where the visualizing, I think, at least changed. The very first time that he created a transcript for one of them, he was like, "Holy smokes, that's a chapter," which goes back to the thing about having a herd, being around the people who are saying,
Wow.
I've told you 10 times in this podcast already that I don't always like what my dad says to me. Doesn't mean he's wrong. It means I don't want to hear it. And then I have to decide if I'm willing to accept that or not, if I want to make the thing happen. The man also told me that I never got a job I was qualified for, which is also not untrue because a job would come up and I'd say, "Oh, but Daddy, it says 5 years of experience." He said, who's going to know? Just sign up for it and see what happens. And of course, I could talk them into it. So I'd get the job and he'd say, "Okay, now we'll figure it out. Now we'll figure it out how you do the thing." And I mean, I can't say he's been wrong. I wish one time, Daddy, just one time would be great if you could be wrong. But I think you're right in saying manifesting is visualization or visualization is part of manifesting, but that's definitely on the on
Well,
the
when
same.
you brought up the book, that's a perfect example of manifesting. You and Joe were going after, and you said, I can edit, I have an editor. Everything was in place. Wouldn't have to do anything. But there was one moment when Joe and I finished recording when I truly manifested the book. I saw the book, and I
Wow.
realized this is what I would have to do with the chapters, because remember, they were YouTubes that became podcasts. They weren't designed to be read.
Right.
And speaking is different from writing. And so I I could see a book. And Joe said, I'll do a cartoon for each chapter and I'll do the cover.
So again, this is very similar to that New York story I was telling you before. Instead of resisting, he said yes to all those possibilities. So those were meant for him because he said yes to them. Instead, if he had resisted all of that, I wouldn't have forced him to write a book. I would have said, fine, Joe and I would have said, okay, if you don't want to do it, you still have to be at the helm. And now it exists and people read it. And I mean, Daddy, you're still more popular live. Like your TikToks explode more than for whatever that people don't like to read books. We all know that, right? Convincing them that all the magic is inside of these pages. But I don't want to usurp. I don't want to, Sherry, I don't know what other questions you might have or where you want, because my dad and I will just go on and
And you
on.
know what? I want to say that I'm going to go meta for a minute. Like while I was watching you two and listening and delighting in this conversation, I was thinking, so I had set an intention a few days ago about this Heart Wisdom panel and was like, how I wanted it to feel and how I wanted Robin and Jenny and Brenda and anyone else who was here to be together and the feeling. I really felt it, right? And you guys know, those of you who came in late maybe didn't hear me, but unfortunately, Robin had an emergency and couldn't be here. But what happened was the universe brought Rabbi Block, right? Like, so the feeling, and I think this is partly how manifesting works. And I'd love to hear, I know Brenda's got her hand up, so I'm going to go to her next. But to me, this is partly how manifesting works. We don't always get the package that we visualize. But I think, yeah, I love that, Rachel. The universe opened up and made space. I think we get the feeling of it if it's in the good of all, right? I think it was in the good of Robin to be able to take care of what she needed to take care of today, and I hope it was good for Rabbi Black. I know for all of us, I can tell we're all smiling and delighted. Brenda, what do you want to say? I'd love to hear.
I want to tip on how to be Jewish in 5 minutes.
You only need 30 seconds. 5 minutes is too much. The, the book is available wherever good books are sold.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that was perfect modeling for all of us authors. I love it.
And then I actually had another thought, which is I wondered if it would be fun to go around the room and see, like, if people wanted to share manifesting moments or thoughts.
I would love that. You don't have to. We don't want to put anyone on the spot, but how about if I can see all of you on the screen, so I'll just say your name in the order you're in for me, and just raise your hand if you're open, and I'll unmute you. How's that? So I'm going to start with Macklin because you're next up on my screen. You want to talk? Oh,
Sure.
look at you. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm like trying to think of one. There have been so many moments in which I have had the wonderful opportunity for manifestation to come into play, and one of them very I would definitely say most recently it has I'm trying to think of a really good one. I would definitely say one of the bigger ones is having when I went to college, I really wanted an opportunity to be in a place where I could be myself and find myself.
Hmm.
And so I had spent a lot of time in manifesting, and I realized after a lot of reflecting that the place where everyone had told me that I should go was not the place where I needed to go to find myself. everyone in my family was a big supporter of me going to a large university in which a lot of my cousins had graduated from, but I realized I was like, absolutely not. This is not going to happen. I would just feel so lost there. Um, and if I hadn't taken the opportunity to really sit with myself and manifest, of finding an area where I can find myself on the individual, that there's no way that I would be in the position that I am in now. Um,
Wow.
Through all the experiences that my college has given me from job opportunities and traveling, there would have been no way that I would be in this very space right now. So,
Yay. Oh, Macklin, that's beautiful. I love
yeah.
it. JJ, you're next. You can raise your hand if you have a story you want to. Oh, I knew you would. Let me ask you to unmute. You should be able to unmute. Will it let you?
There we go. Thank you. Yes, I could just say ditto, ditto, ditto to so much of what's been said. And I'm encouraged, Rabbi Block, because I'm going to turn 80 this year. And I'm just so happy to see how good we all look. So, thank you for that encouragement. And uh, I think for me, Brenda mentioned spending time in the morning and being intentional and so forth. And that's been a lifelong habit of mine. Mine is in the form of prayer, specifically. And I learned the hard way to not just start whining and asking for all kinds of stuff that I wanted. And I learned it was much smarter to ask if this was really what was I was meant to be doing and a calling and so on. And even the book, the Goodbye Old, Hello Bold, and being about possibilities and everything, I call it the Lazarus book because it has so many events. I was certain I was supposed to write this beginning to end, which I did, and I drew the pictures all the way through. And I knew that was a power coming from somewhere else, and that was an indication. But all the way through, my prayer was, if I'm really not meant to do this, just don't give me the energy. That's all. I'm not going to die if I don't, and I want the energy to do it justice
Wow.
if it does go. And so I would watch my energy, and it would come and go. Terrible things happened, and then the book was just dead and buried a couple of times, and then lo and behold, it lived. And I thought, wait a minute, we started about 8 years ago on this book when I had really a lot of energy. And my prayer was, why did you wait till I'm almost 80 and I don't think I can do this? And it has been very interesting. It's like the Rumi poem, the one thing you were born to do. And if you don't do it, it's like taking just a cheap nail and hanging something very valuable on the wall. You've just wasted it. And uh, I just felt so strongly that my sleep cycle has improved. Everything that was impacting me. But I still watch. I tread carefully. I'm always looking that that's the right step to take rather than just barreling ahead. And I tend to not ask. I don't ask for things. There's uh, a really brilliant nun, Joan Chittister.
Hmm.
She's a Benedictine nun, and she said basically, God is not a vending machine or a magician. And Rabbi Block mentioned that concept. And these are things I had to wrestle with all my life and came to. It's a much more comfortable position. And it is shocking some of the things that even opportunities that are coming up that I haven't even shared because I want to make sure they're going to happen. It's just amazing to me. Doors that have been open, people who've been interested in it, and that I have the energy to step through those doors now. And that's my litmus test. There's
Wow,
no ego
JJ.
involved. So
Thank
yes,
you. That is beautiful. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
I love that. I think maybe in the interest of time, because I do want to have Jenny share a few more things and maybe even Rabbi Block. Is there someone else who has a story? So I'm not just going around oh, Rachel, I see you. Let me go ahead and unmute you, dear. You should be able to unmute. Well, yeah.
I just have to say this because it involves people in this room. So
Ooh.
obviously, uh, Karen Casey, who is here, wrote a daily reader. That was the first one I ever read when I was 14. It's what inspired me to create my own daily practice on a blog, which was Daily Aligning with Love, Abundance, and Peace, which is what led me to write Tending Your Inner Garden, which Brenda bought, which is how to weed out fear, lack, and separation
Wow.
and cultivate love, abundance, and peace. So talk about a manifestation full circle moment right here.
Oh,
But
Rachel.
that's one of the things that they were talking about that I really truly believe is
Yeah.
that, we create from either the energy of fear, lack, and separation or love, abundance, and peace. Whatever our energy is in is where we go. So that's it.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love that. I love that so much. And I love the honoring of Karen, who has been such a wonderful part of our publishing house. Thank you, Rachel. How about if we have one other person want to share a manifestation? Oh, Karen, perfect. You should be able to unmute. Will it let you?
Yes,
There you are.
it did. Well, since Rachel mentioned that, I don't know if she's referring to Each Day a New Beginning, possibly, but that was my first book. And really, when I think back on that, and that was written 45 years ago, as a matter of fact, and I've written any number of books since then, but they were all in one sense or another manifested because I simply was called again and again to sit down and share what that inner messenger was speaking to me about. And that's really what each day, the original Each Day a New Beginning was about my trying to connect with my higher power because I struggled so when I first came into recovery. I've been in recovery for coming up on 50 years. And as some of you are talking about your age, I'm coming up on 87. So I've been on this journey for a damn long time, but manifesting all the way. And in fact, right now I'm in the midst of manifesting a new book, a new second glance to Each Day a New Beginning, which is 45 years after that first book was published, because it feels as though I want to say, here's who I am now. And here's who God sees me as now.
Wow.
And that is really a manifestation of maybe the same genre of manifestation, maybe a little bit different, but it does feel as though it's manifesting myself in a whole new, not a new direction, but a new level. And I just feel thrilled about it. But can I have one more minute?
Yes, you may for sure.
Because I was very recently diagnosed with leukemia, and it took me by surprise. Our health challenges always do, and I've got 3 of them on my table right now that I'm kind of struggling with. But one of the things that happened to me when I got the diagnosis of leukemia was that, gee, I really need to figure out how to energize myself in a new way. So, so it's really also a form of manifestation. I decided that, the best thing I can do is to start counting steps on a daily basis as a way of keeping myself energized so that the fatigue of leukemia doesn't take me down the rabbit hole. And I
Wow.
would like to say and share with the group that on most days I am walking 14 to 15,000 steps. And that feels like a whole new avenue of manifestation. And so that we can manifest, in my mind, we can manifest in so many different directions. And so it has been very close to my heart for many, many years. So with that, I pass.
Karen, thank you so much. Oh, what a joy. I'm so glad you were with us and that you shared that. Oh my goodness, you guys, thank you to everyone who shared their stories. I'm going to go back, Jenny, to you as our featured author today. And two questions. First of all, do you have any response to what you heard? Like, is there anything you wanted to share about these beautiful stories? Oh, you get, how did you get muted, sweet pea?
So
Okay, there you
I that time I did it on purpose because my dog was misbehaving.
are. Okay.
I didn't want you to hear her barking. Um, I think what I want to say is this is the very reason that I included so many people's stories in the book, because it's one thing to have one person say, "Look at my life, look at I had the perfect dad, and that's why things went so well," because it's not fair in some ways, right? Like then you could just say, "Well, I didn't have that dad, so sucks for me." Like
Yeah.
that that's not useful to anybody. So in this way, when you see other people's stories, people who don't believe in this stuff, people who said this was too woo-woo, people who, and then people who are really into all this stuff. So the fact that there are people, it doesn't matter what your deal is, it still work. I mean, I think my dad made an important point talking about reframing this as what we call in this world visualization, because you're allowed to say that word in polite company, right? Like manifesting freaks people out, but you're allowed to say visualizing. So when you hear that word, remember that's still what they're talking about. But there's just, and I'm pretty sure I included this in the book. I was at the music festival where I MC in the summers, and they do this. The festival is on what we call the land, which is where Michigan Women's Festival used to be. And all of us as women, own it now. But at the time, we did not. We were raising money to buy the land. And they were doing one of those raffles that summer. They called a 50-50. So you win 50% and the charity, in this case, the land gets 50%. And I said to my friend, I really have to win because I want to give my half back also, because that's one way that I could make a really big donation, right?
Wow.
No skin off my teeth, right? So she said, okay, then you should win. Let's make that happen. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's make that. Like, what? And she had me do these visualizations of imagining the moment they say my name. How will it feel when they announce when I win? Who will be the first person I tell? What will be the actual body feel? I'm getting the chills. What's the actual body feel of that moment? And we did that every day, and we held hands and we closed our, we did that every day for 1 week while tickets were sold. And then on Friday night, they announced the winner, and she just went, and I was like, and again, it was meant to be, right? The land needed the money.
Yes.
Someone else might have won and not given the money. It was good for the land. It was good. It was good for me to be ethical. She was the only one that I told I was going to give the money back. It gave me the opportunity to be truthful with myself about what, right? Because I could have said, ha ha ha, the money is mine. So it was good for the universe. It was good. It was right. It happened. And that for me, I mean, I think I've made a lot of things happen, but that felt like the one where it was really like, okay, it's not magic, but maybe it's a teeny bit magic. And I think it's okay to think it's a teeny bit magic too, because what do you say, Dad? Getting a job is like if 30% talent and 70% luck, and I maybe that luck is some percent manifesting some percent, because there are lots of us sitting out here who should be New York Times bestselling authors. There are lots of us out here who should be movie stars or millionaires or the president, and we're not for whatever reason. And much of that is out of our control. So what are we going to do with the part that we do have control over?
Jenny, love that. And I'm so glad. And we have time there's been a question that I've also been wanting to ask you. Before I do, I just want to say one comment, which is you winning that raffle served all of us who are here, or at least all of the people who've read your book, all of the people who've heard that story, right? So I can see the ripples of it.
Right.
And I'm so grateful.
Sorry, I'm letting the dog out. I can still hear you. I'm not going anywhere.
All right, good. So here's my question, Jenny.
Okay.
I want to know if there's any role that you think that self-worth or belief, like, can I manifest something if I don't believe I'm worthy? Which I think in our culture, maybe across the world, I know certainly in the US culture, there's a lot of people who don't feel worthy of what they
I
want.
really wish my dad wasn't on this call right now.
Oh, yay!
Because what I'm going to say is that this is something that he is constantly putting me back together about. Because it wasn't that long ago that I was whining to him about the book sales aren't going fast enough and not enough people are coming to the sessions. And he had a million great ideas and I poo-pooed them all. And the end of the conversation was, I'm just not. I guess I'm just not a great author. I guess I'm just not. And he won't let you get away with that. That's not, he'll let you whine and moan for a minute. And, and he literally said, when you're done with that, call me back. But
Well,
that's
he
not
has the one rule, the one ring to rule them all, remember?
and clearly I forgot that, Brenda. That is the problem, is when I forget that. And I mean, he invited me on his podcast, on his YouTube, where he has a gazillion
Wow.
followers. No, what's the point? It's hopeless because I'm not going to be anything.
Wow.
Yeah, it plays a huge role and it still sinks in no matter how, I always say, behind the curtain, it's just me doing my best to just like everybody else to keep it going, to visualize the things so I do like to think I'm a bright, shiny, magical person, and I'm a bright, shiny, magical person who works at that because it's none of it's easy. And when things don't happen like this, you can, I spent a lot of time visualizing getting into this MFA program at NYU, and I got rejected twice. And I gotta tell you, I haven't been rejected a lot. Either I don't apply for things if I don't really feel like they're meant for me. Maybe I don't know. I don't know why it didn't work, but I thought I did all the things. So it had to just be me. I'm just worthless. So what's the point? So yes, the fact that, and there's chapters in Badass Manifesting about that, about I hate to sound like Stuart Smalley, but I'm good enough and I'm smart enough and gosh darn it, people like me. Like there, again, this is about having your herd. This is about, be around people who love you and support you, and even people like my dad who you want to punch in the nose because you think, if I'm so great, why isn't everything happening? You still need to hear how great you are because you're definitely not going to make it happen if you're going to stay in the muck.
Yes.
Use
Yes.
luck for as long as it serves you and then send it on your way. And that is definitely my dad's. Thank you for annoying me with your bad feelings. Now get lost.
Jenny, that was beautiful, beautiful. And since we do have an unexpected surprise author here, Rabbi Block, I'm just curious, is there anything you want to add to that? We have 2 minutes and I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, I've been thinking about my next book, and the rabbi and I, Joe was Roman Catholic. I myself was educated at Boston College. And one of the episodes is called The Jesuit Rabbi. And it talks about how I ended up being a rabbi because of my Jesuit training and having gone to Boston. I was brought up Jewish, raised Jewish, went through the whole thing. But I think my next book, Joe and I were talking, it's How to Be a Roman Catholic in 1 Minute.
Absolutely not. I'm not editing that one, Daddy.
I would
That's
like
a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
That's all just pages of guilt. One of the things to end with
Yeah.
is the Epistle of St. James. James wrote, faith without works is hopeless. Faith, and you can read, the book's very short. Faith without works is a dead end. And that's manifesting. Thinking it's a magical and I don't have to do anything is a dead end. And that's what came to mind with manifesting was St. James's advice about all our religion. Faith and works. They go together. They will get us results. Either independently or alone will not. And that's what Jenny just said.
Yeah.
Faith, and then you do the steps to make it happen in the real world.
Oh my God. Look at all these hearts. Look at all this clapping. You guys, this was phenomenal. I am so grateful. Rachel said it, and I love this. She's like, thank you, universe, right? Like thank you, God, universe, source. Thank you to anything and everything that brought us all together. Rabbi Block, thank you for joining us like that at the last minute. I loved that spontaneity. Jenny, Thank you so much. When our plans changed and we had to pivot, you were just so like, okay, I'm here for whatever. And it was beautiful. Thank you to all of the Books That Save Lives team that's here. There's a bunch of you here. Thank you to our other authors and guests. I want to end with what I say, and I mean it every time. Like, it really matters. You showing up today, your energy, whether you came on video and shared, or you just were here energetically, or you posted in chat, your stories, your energy, you make a difference. And I'm really grateful that you were all here. I feel like this was just a wonderful, wonderful Heart Wisdom panel. And I hope to see you. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And I hope you all join us again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And thank you for letting me drag my dad in.
Oh my God, that was so fun. Yeah, that was so fun. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.